Hey guys, Emilio here. Thank you very much for making it all the way to the end of this tutorial. You should now be able to write a fully functional single address Bitcoin Cash wallet from scratch, which you can use to send and receive money on the real Bitcoin Cash network. Before we finish, I wanted to talk a little bit more about what are a few downsides in our wallet and how they should be improved upon before putting all of this into a real live application. The first thing I wanted to discuss is what are the problems concerning single address wallets and why most software nowadays provides multi-address wallets instead. The most basic problem with single address wallets is the lack of privacy that comes from address reuse. Now, this affects not only your privacy, but also the privacy of others who transact with you. To provide a few examples, imagine you have all your funds in a single address wallet. If you go ahead and buy a coffee in a shop, then whoever is receiving that payment for the coffee will automatically know exactly how much money you have in your account. You can surely see why it's undesirable to share that information with anyone you transact with. Also, imagine you run a business of any kind. If you happen to use a single address wallet for receiving payments, then it is very easy to identify all those who do business with you. Think of a customer buying a gift for their partner from a shared wallet. It would be very possible for the partner to figure out what they're getting for Christmas just by looking at their transaction history and noticing that they bought something from you. This cannot happen if your business receives payments on a new address every time, and in general, most privacy problems can be solved by treating each address as an invoice rather than as a wallet or an account on their own. A second more subtle problem with address reuse is that of security. Like we mentioned earlier in this tutorial, when you're spending a given output, you need to provide a public key from which your address was derived. If you use an address only a single time, then there is no problem with doing this, since the public key becomes public to the network at the time you're spending the funds that you have received, and then you never use it again. However, when you keep reusing your address, as happens with a single address wallet, you will quickly see yourself having non-zero funds on your address after you have revealed its public key. So even though in the general case there are no known attacks to spending a UTXO only by having its public key, you are still giving potential attackers more information to work with, which makes your funds less safe than if they were stored in an address which never revealed its public key before. On a separate note, another part of our wallet that will need to be improved before putting this in production is the fact that we are storing the wallet's private keys in the browser's local storage. Now, this is not immediately a security problem, since any attacker getting access to your local storage would already imply a pretty important security breach, meaning there's probably plenty of other things that the attacker could do to steal your funds. However, this is a very important usability problem, which is that oftentimes users will not care enough to actually store a backup of their wallets, and if it just so happens that their local storage gets cleared, then they will lose all their funds forever. Local storage will not generally get cleared very often, but there are many cases where this can happen, like when the user erases their browsing data, for example. In this case, funds will effectively become unspendable forever. In order to mitigate this problem, you may want to force your users to save a backup of their wallet before actually being able to use it. You can also store the keys for them in your backend. However, that would make you responsible for their funds, which might have some legal implications. Finally, another risk related to our wallet is the development setup that we've been using. Our application is currently being bundled with lots of code written by third parties, which could potentially have custom logic to steal funds from our users. This sounds kind of crazy, but it has in fact happened recently to a very popular wallet, which is also written in JavaScript. In order to mitigate this risk, it's important to very carefully vet any dependencies being used by your code, although I know this can be a very daunting task. So we've come to the end of this tutorial, which I hope you found really useful and easy to follow. This should be a good starting point into building more complex Bitcoin Cash applications, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you build in the future. If you liked this tutorial, feel free to leave some feedback and let me know what other topics you would like to learn more about. For next videos, I'm looking forward to extending our wallet into a multi-address wallet, as well as the ability to publish data to the blockchain by using op return outputs, as well as creating more advanced scripts like hash challenges. So that's it for today, and thanks for watching.